Good evening. My name's Wayne. Some of you may have seen me before.
Before their fifth birthday.
Oh, look, honey, Jennifer sent me an e-card.
Attention, this email has been intercepted by the National Security Agency. We will be asking you a series of questions before returning you to your email. Don't be alarmed. Your participation is voluntary. Please stand by while we test microphones at your address. Mouse, go. Bedroom pillows, go. Toilet seat, go. Audio check. Please see your name. We couldn't hear you.
Activating Microsoft Mind Reader 2.1.
Eyeball, green, go. Cranial implant, green. Please look me in the eye while I read your mind. Thank you. First question. Do you consider yourself a law-abiding citizen? Wrong. You are lying. You have an unpaid parking ticket. Next question. Do you consider yourself morally upright? Wrong. You are lying. You have rented several R-rated movies. Next question. Have you ever made disparaging remarks about A, our president, B, our vice president? Wrong. You are lying. The fact that you find this humorous indicates you do not respect our leaders. Test over. 3 incorrect answers. You have been categorized. An elevated security risk. Your email will be monitored until further notice. Questionable content, such as A, graphics, B, audio, will be censored. Thank you. We return you to your email.
There is something very wrong with our world. In the ensuing years since the attacks upon New York's World Trade Center on September the 11th, 2001, our societies have gone down very different paths to what the people of the world had hoped to see ushered in with the new millennium. Now there is a sense of foreboding that encompasses the globe, a sense that all is not quite right, that some unseen malaise exists like a deeper undercurrent that flows just below the surface of everyday affairs. Though we are constantly told of all the problems that we face, concerns over global terrorism, famine, disease, global warming and global warfare, it has become apparent to many that below the surface problems we are repeatedly shown by the media, another problem does indeed exist. Such feelings are being expressed by a great many people, and these feelings are justified, for this earth and humanity itself does indeed face a massive threat. It is not the threat of global terrorism or the threat of war. It is not the threat of environmental disaster or global warming. It is something more sinister, something that lies within. Different people blame different groups or conspiracies for these problems. Club of Rome, the Bilderbergers, Freemasons, Bohemian Club. Some say Zionists or the Vatican conspiracy. Some say Skull and Bones, and the list goes on. Well, the truth is that all of the above sources are in fact involved, each in its own way, and each carries out specific tasks. Zionism, for example, is merely one of the most visible arms of the octopus, because it is they who carry out most of the world's terrorism. But Zionism is merely one layer of the onion, as is the Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Club, or any other group. All these organizations are interlinked to one controlling body at the top, now widely known as the Illuminati. I covered a great deal about how the whole system is put together and how most of it functions in the Big Picture series which I posted on my YouTube channel, and a good deal about the Zionist arm of the Illuminati, who, it would appear, were the true force behind the 9/11 attacks, is also covered in a third-party series I posted on my YouTube channel entitled 9/11 Missing Links. 9/11 missing links may be seen as an attack against Jews by some, but I think that it contains relevant and pertinent information concerning the true perpetrators of the 9/11 attacks, which is why I posted it. Zionism, however, as I previously said, is merely one layer of the Illuminati onion, which encompasses all manner of secret societies. Zionism is merely one part. You can think of Zionism as like the Special Ops Division of the Illuminati, which in turn has offshoots such as the Mossad and CIA. Organizations whose sole purpose is to undermine governments and create instability, and who control all global drug and human traffic trading, and who also control all other terrorist organizations down the food chain, such as Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, by the way, is an organization which is wholly invented and is nothing more than a database consisting of a list of names of mujahideen trained in terrorism by the CIA in the late 1970s. The words Al-Qaeda literally translate to the database in Arabic. Do not make the mistake of thinking organizations like the CIA and Mossad are the good guys, because they are most definitely not. They are anything but. All the world is a stage, and everything of importance that occurs on it is planned to happen that way. And it is through this Illuminati system of intertwining secret societies that the entire world is ultimately run. The vital control centers of this mechanism are the three Illuminati city-states, all of which are separate, self-governing states within host countries. The first is the City of London, which is the center for monetary control. The second is Washington's District of Columbia, which is the center for military control. And the third is Vatican City in Rome, which is the center for spiritual control. Each city-state is a completely separate, self-governed and sovereign state within an external sovereign country. Each has its own laws, its own news services and its own infrastructure. Each pays no taxes to the sovereign country in which it is located, and each has its own flag. Each flag bears either the 3 stars, the 3 crowns, or the 3 dragons, signifying the 3 city-states. Each city-state also has its own obelisk, as the bloodlines that control the world can be clearly traced back to ancient Egypt. These are the 3 Illuminati control centers of the world, and it is from these 3 control centers that control over all aspects of the world is achieved. So then, who are the controllers and why? Why are they doing this to the human race? When these people already control all the money and all the resources and already start wars and famines at whim, why take it any further? What else is there to gain? Well, here's where explanations are decidedly more difficult, because even the Illuminati themselves say there is another unseen hand that controls even them. And who this hidden hand may actually belong to, well, that will have to remain the subject of another video. But suffice to say for now that the reality that we live in, what we perceive as being reality, is not reality. We create what we perceive to be reality with our emotions and our intent. Those who control the human race know this, and so do many other cultures, and the evidence to support such an argument being true is in fact everywhere. We as Westerners think we are more advanced than other races because we have flashy cars, mobile phones and plasma TVs. But these are all merely trinkets. They are nothing more than baubles and beads designed to distract you from the real power in the universe, a power that we are all connected to. This connection with the greater power is now becoming more pronounced, and more people are waking up every day as we approach the line of the galactic ecliptic, and the frequency of the Earth and everything and everyone on it rises accordingly. The power elite know this, and they know that the frequency of this planet and of our entire solar system is rising, and so they are combating this rising of frequency and awakening of deeper human awareness with a virtual sensory onslaught. TV, sex, meaningless celebrity gossip, more and more baubles and beads, and more by promoting an atmosphere of fear. Wars, terrorism, the myth of global warming, food shortages, gas shortages, avian flu, anything they can think of to produce negative energy and a climate of fear, stress, hatred and intolerance. And to a certain degree they've succeeded. Until now. For now, people are beginning to wake up. This message therefore goes out as a hope, as a challenge and as a calling. It goes out as a calling to everyone, and also as a calling to every police officer and to all military personnel, as a reminder to them that the job of the police is not one of blind enforcement of law, but is rather to protect and serve the public, not of protection and servitude to corrupt politicians. just as the role of the military is the protection of their nation, not the protection of the nation's politicians. If the politicians enact legislation or issue decrees that oppress the rights of the people, or are not in the best interests of the people in promoting freedom and the right of each individual to the personal pursuit of happiness, then it is the politicians who sought to enact such laws who should be arrested, and not the people who disregard them. The people are sovereign, not the government. The government is the servant of the people, not vice versa. Of course, waking some of these police officers may be somewhat of a challenge, if not an impossibility, because it is highly likely that many of them have already been microchipped. It's extremely easy to control the emotional state of any person who has been implanted with a microchip. The human body is nothing more than a biological computer. All actions, feelings and emotions are detected by the brain as electrical impulses. Placing a microchip inside someone's body allows the computer to be interfered with by an external source, similar to a Trojan horse program on a home PC. No intelligent or thinking individual should ever allow themselves to be microchipped, no matter how convenient it is made to appear to entice you. To allow yourself to be chipped is to place your life and your very thoughts and your emotions into the hands of another person whom you do not know. And this is not science fiction, this is actual fact. In recent decades, experiments with microchips were carried out on animals with great success. Scientists were easily able to invoke extremes of emotion ranging from extreme contentment to violent anger, in this cat for example, with a simple change of frequency. This technology to control emotions does exist. It is not some fantasy, and it is very likely that it is due to such technology that we are recently witnessing such wanton aggression from police officers, whose actual job it is to protect and serve, rather than to harass and intimidate, such as they appear to be concentrating on now. It must be clearly understood that there are only two emotions, love and fear. All other emotions stem from these two base emotions. Love is a much faster vibration than fear, and love has been proven to actually physically affect human DNA and allow more centers for coding. This is what makes true evolution possible, and it is this knowledge the elite desperately want to keep from the hands of the people, because people who live in love evolve to a higher consciousness and awareness, and power over them is lost.
So the 64 possibilities of codes that we call the human genetic code, and of these 64 possibilities, it appears that only 20 of these codes are turned on right now for us, the 20 amino acids. Well, researchers have been able to show us, and this is a pretty amazing thing to say, what has been discovered is this, is that there is a switch that turns off and turns on where those coding sites lie, and that the switch for that turning off and turning on is what we call emotion. And this is the first time that we've ever seen the patterns of emotion directly physically linked to human genetic material. Emotion, the long wave, the long red wave of emotion, wherever this wave of emotion touches, where it crosses this double helix, is what determines where the site is that code will either be turned off or turned on. You and I are primarily capable of only two emotions, many derivatives of those emotions, and two primary emotions, fear and love. Well, fear is a long, slow wave of emotion. So this wave of fear is a long, slow wave and touches relatively few sites on this DNA. So an individual living in fear is limited to the number of antennae that they have available to them. Whereas an individual living in the pattern of love, this is love in DNA, you can see it's a higher frequency, many more potential sites for coding along that genetic pattern. This information, this is amazing. This is the first time we've ever had a hard digital link between emotion and genetics. And what we're saying is this, that the way you interpret and perceive emotion in your lives directly, linearly affects and determines how your body responds genetically. In compassion, in love, you have the opportunity, and it is an opportunity, to encode many more genetic patterns within your body.
This is part of the hidden knowledge held by organizations such as the Illuminati. This is why Western society and modern religions such as Christianity have striven so hard to wipe out paganism. In fact, modern religious institutions were so fearful of the message contained within paganism and deemed it such a threat to their hegemony that the practice of it was punishable by death. But you can ask even a small child from some obscure village in the Andes and soon realize that they all know this information, but it has been hidden from the West. It is important now, through all of the problems we face, to approach the world with only love in your heart. This can sometimes be difficult to do. When faced with the truth about our world and the atrocities that are being carried out in our names by our governments, do you feel outrage? Do you feel anger? It is quite natural to feel such emotions when faced with this information, and quite fine that you do, because such anger and outrage is born from love and empathy for your fellow man. Or do you feel hatred of the perpetrators? Hatred is a very bad thing, and though it is hard, you must not allow yourself to fall into such a trap. Hatred is a very negative emotion, and negativity can only ever produce more negativity. And the people who are carrying out this madness in the world want you to hate them. They don't care who your hatred is directed at, even if it's directed at them, just so long as you hate something or someone. They just want the negative energy to keep flowing. Do not hate your enemies. George W. Bush is a genocidal maniac, but don't hate him for it. Love him and pity him for being so misguided. Don't hate him and show anger born from hatred or bloodlust. Hatred empowers your enemies against you, and such demonstrations can only possibly provoke retaliation. In attempting to deal with the New World Order, many talk of an armed uprising, but that is not the way. They want an armed uprising. You must see that, and so you must not give it to them. An armed uprising will only result in martial law, and the New World Order will never be defeated with weapons. They have technology to defeat any armed uprising that you cannot even imagine. The whole issue needs to be approached with a state of love. Now, when I say it's important to approach things with a state of love, I'm not talking about the touchy-feely, let's all be passive and wear flowers in our hair kind of love. I'm talking about real love, empathy and understanding for all people and all life. An understanding that there is no division amongst the peoples of the world. These divisions are an illusion created by the elite in order to divide us. Ignore them. There is no division. There is no other. There is only one. We are one. No people in any country want war. Only leaders and bankers want war, so don't give it to them. Many people think that the problems are unique to their country. For example, many Americans may argue that the issues of 9/11 are an internal problem, but such is not the case, because the conspiracy we are dealing with here is very old and very well thought out, and the problem is indeed a global one. Much of the controlling influences are actually European. It just seems internal to many Americans because it is more active there. And this is not to say anything against the American people at all. It is more active in America at this particular time because it is in America's District of Columbia that lies the Illuminati Center for Military Control. That is why it is so important for the American people to act immediately to restore their constitution. Should this not be achieved, it will spell very bad times ahead indeed, not for just America, but for the entire globe, because there is nowhere to escape from the New World Order. There is nowhere to run, no country one could move to, and no chance of setting up any alternate societies in some place that will remain unaffected. Their influence across the globe is all pervasive. The only real way to defeat the New World Order and to stop the fascist malaise that is creeping across our earth is to address the root cause of the problem, to cut the head off the snake. And that problem is the global monetary system and those who control it. Because the megalomaniacs who are creating this mayhem in the world are and have always been the criminal banking elite, consisting of families such as the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and this can be amply proven. These people have trampled on the entire human race. They have sold us out, and in more ways than you may ever believe. The Rothschild family alone has managed to hoard over 1/2 of the Earth's entire wealth in the last 300 years by means of lies and deception, and has the blood of quite literally millions on their hands. The goal of these elite international criminals is to microchip the entire population of Earth and to eliminate all those who resist, so total control over humanity can be placed in their hands. These are deranged, extremely sick and very ruthless people who care nothing for anyone who is not part of their elitist club. What is needed to fix the problems is a global revolution of the people, but it does not need to be a bloody battle. In fact, not a single shot even needs to be fired. All that is required is for the people of the world to wake up and stop going along with the system. Stop agreeing with what is being done to the world and its people. For just 1 week even, stand up and say, no, we will not do this anymore. Get yourself a supply of food and stay home for a week. Don't go out and be a consumer. Don't watch TV. Don't go to work. Don't buy gas. Don't buy alcohol. Don't go shopping at all. Just do enough to keep the essential services operating. Can you imagine what the elite would do and what could be achieved with just 1 week of global non-compliance? Global non-compliance by the people would bring the entire global elite to their knees and utterly defeat the New World Order in one fell swoop. Then if the people forgot all about what the TV told them was right and helped each other instead of profiting from each other in order to buy more useless trinkets, the entire system of slavery and control would come crashing down like a house of cards. The only power that the ruling elite have over the people of the world is the power that we ourselves grant to them. All that is needed to fix it and to stop the New World Order in its tracks is for the people of the world to stand united in an act of non-violent non-compliance. A simple case of no sir, we will not do this anymore. It's that simple. The malaise that is creeping across our world must be dealt with by the people, and dealt with very quickly. A unity of human spirit in an attitude of global non-violent non-compliance is all that is required to win the battle, and it needs to be done quickly while the people still have the opportunity to deal with the situation in a peaceful manner. Your first reaction will most likely be to feel anger and resentment towards the maker of this film. This is an understandable reaction, because this film is suggesting you to consider the possibility that you may have been wrong about the view you have of this world. But do not feel anger, because you only have this view because you've been lied to. But again, to even admit this much to yourself is to admit that you've been duped, and our societies have carefully trained us to view any such realization as an affront against the ego, rather than an enlightening of spirit or a freeing of mental shackles. But the fact remains that the only power the ruling elite have over the people is the power that the people themselves grant to them. All I can ask is that you each stop and look inside yourself and realize the true power and true potential that each of you holds within.